Alright, hello to all you fire alarm and siren fans on YouTube. We have a bit of a poor connection going because we're out in my garage because my dad doesn't want this in the house, so we're doing it outside. Last night while I was in class, came home to find out that our microwave died. We had this thing for about 20 years. When they were using it, apparently it kind of died and it had a burnt electrical smell, so we're going to take her apart and see what is up with it. So we're going to set you on the RC2, hopefully, maybe. Okay. So let's get some light action in here. Let's take her to the back and open her up. Let's see if we can see it right there. Yeah, you can see it just fine. So, we're opening her up to see what's the deal. First, let's pull that plate out of there. So, this glass plate, and then the thing that it slides around on. So, we'll open up the back first. Or maybe not. Actually, be right back. I'm gonna go get my ratchets. Actually, let's try and get these off here. See, those things come up just fine. I think that this holds the, I think this right here holds the whole, whatchamacallit, transformer rack and, magnetron unit. So I'm actually going to go grab my, ratchets real quick here and, see what the dealio is. Okay, I am back with the ratchets. Now I just need to find one that fits. And first try. So, that's tight. That should be loose. Not really much to break that seal on there. So then afterwards, I have to put this all back together. Because apparently my dad doesn't want me taking it apart, so. Really cold out. So yeah, we're just taking these bottom base plates off. With microwaves, you have to be careful because there's a high voltage there's high voltage transformers, but as long as it's not plugged in, you should be fine. But the number one thing I'd be worried about is the high voltage capacitor that's in there in between the transformer coil and magnetron. So at this point, I think it's something magnetron-wise. It might have been the heaters that went, or the capacitor. I don't really foresee that those coils would be going out, but we'll see. Let's take this one off here, see if I can get a look-see in there. Holy shit. there is a 3 RPM rotation motor in there that I might just have to cop out of there. So we're probably going to pull that part out of it. Hardest part is breaking that seal. This thing's been in use for 20 some odd years. And God knows they probably had a locking glue on there for it. So it appears to come off just like that. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a rotating the cam wheel drive from a AF timer. Rotates at 3 RPM, so this would be the perfect rotating motor for a mini siren, because it runs off of whatchamacallit, 120 volts, so you can hook it right up. That's what it kind of looks like. But yeah, I could hook it right up to 120 and she should run. Might have to cut this connector off of there, but first let's make sure it's not hooked up to any capacitors or anything. So, probably put this back on. And I'm just seeing if I can get this off or not. If I pried it to the sides a bit. Let me get out my little pry thing. Let's quick open it up upside down. There doesn't appear to be anything holding it in place there. But we did see to get the little drive thing off, so how should we get this open? Kind of brainstorming right now. Not really getting a burning smell out of this thing, so not really sure what caused that. But we're just going to screw this backside now. See if that makes it any easier to get it open. This is a serial number 635W. Made in 1996. It was made April of 1996. This is a oldie. Pretty crazy how long this thing lasted thinking about it. We use this probably 4 or 5, well, it's probably between 5 to 10 times a day we were using this thing. So I'm really surprised it held up this long. Held together with some machine screws. Kind of looks like the 1003 rotator panel machine screws. But it does appear that we're freeing some things up. Okay, it appears as if we've got the bottom off. Okay. And it appears as if we got it all pretty much off for what we need it for. I don't need to really take it apart any more than that. So we'll see if you guys reach over there that much. So if you can see in here, we have the Samsung microwave magnetron. Goes down to your high voltage capacitor. And we're going to take a closer look at that to see if it's been venting or not. And then in here you have your primary coil. which appears to be in both the primary and secondary, look to be fine. So I don't know why it was causing a burning smell. So we're going to have to take a dive into that a little closer here and see what's going on. So we'll see if we can sit you guys down. Oh, not like that, but... Okay, set you guys. Oh, this is such a pain. There we go. So it appears right here we have a bit of a grounding clamp. Magnetron. That doesn't look to be the problem. Well, it looks like the ground goes through there. And then from there it goes down. Drives a 120 volt current. I'm not really getting a funky burning smell out of any of this, so I'm not quite sure what's with that. Now we have a computer board for the driving the LCD screen and the buttons. What else do we have? We got the high voltage capacitor, like I said earlier. And I'm not really sure how you can tell on these, but it doesn't look like it's been venting or anything. But I don't really know. From what it appears like, it's not really venting. We have our clip from the motor, so we can take that out. And what do I do with that motor? It's over here. So clipped in right up there. And then it just slides in like that. So we set that off to the side as a part we can use. This fan motor. Let's see if I can get a reading on it. 120 volt fan motor. It's got a pretty big shaft, so looks like it could maybe be used for a mini siren. Let me see how the coils, well, the fields look on it. The fields look to be fine on it, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. I might have to see where that magnetron is in there. So right here is a light that illuminates your microwave. Incandescent, of course. Probably pop that out, but I don't really have a use for it, so I'm not. We have a fuse. One would think if something went wrong with this microwave that the fuse would have burnt, but it doesn't really appear to be the case. Yeah, nothing looks wrong with any of the coils. I'm looking at all the wiring and I'm not really seeing any wiring that is burnt or nothing. Does look like we have a little char action on some sort of diode up in the control area. But there's solder on it and it doesn't look like the solder actually. Here, real quick unplug you guys and bring them over. If you look at that, it looks like they were soldered in the middle, and then the one fell down, so that could very well be what happened. It looks like there's a little bit of char action on there. So that very well could be what popped. But all these capacitors in there look to be fine there, and the coil on there, stepping the 120 down, looks to be fine also. Yeah, I don't really know what happened with that, but I don't really want to pull the coil out because, number one, I don't really have a use for it. I can buy a welder for $90. I can't really make a welder with it or anything. don't really want to, nor do I really want to screw with that high voltage capacitor. But I might pull this fan motor out here because that might be worth saving. But other than that, I think this thing's done in very well. What could have been the smoking thing is that diode of some sort. That's not a diode, that's a battery. Yeah, I think that's a battery for if a power outage happens, that it runs the clock mechanism, because there was a clock on here that told you what time it was. So I think that's what that was. And that somehow ran electricity into there somehow. Otherwise, everything else on here seems fine, so it might have been an internal magnetron issue. But I don't really want to screw with the magnetron because it's high voltage. That capacitor right there. Looks to be the same style capacitor that's on a P15, but yeah, like I said, I don't really want to screw with that. You can see the lock and unlock mechanism here. But yeah. So let's quick pull that fan motor out, and then we're probably going to box her back up. Oh, another thing you can see is off my phone, but if you look right here, there's a lead wire going to the magnetron down through here, and then if you look, it fires the beam of electrons straight through to this other side where it looks like there's an electron receptor, and then that goes somewhere. So I think it beams the electrons straight through here to there across your food, and then that beam of electrons that the magnetron's putting out excites the water molecules, thus heating your food, because it's not really heating your food, but exciting the water molecules in your food that then heats your food up, and that's how a microwave basically works. But yeah, if it's not that battery, I'm guessing it is a magnetron problem. But yeah, like I said, I don't really want to screw with it because it's high voltage, and I prefer to live in number one. I don't need any parts. Well, number one, I want to live in number two. I don't really need any parts out of it, so I'm not going to screw with it. So let's quick pull that fan out of there, and we'll put her all back together. Looks to be held together with some small bolts. It seems to be a size smaller than the last ones. Maybe we'll try this size. Not too small. Not even smaller. There we go. So we're gonna do everything in our power not to disrupt that capacitor, because it could be fatal. Pull those pins off of there. And there we go. Just grab a wire cutters here. I have one of them here. All scissors will be fine. There's some pretty small wires. And just snip them off. And that's pretty much it out of this microwave. Yeah, so let's close it back up. And you can see on the side where the beams the electrons, looks to be like they have some sort of leaded thing that absorbs the electrons, so that way it does not radiate out of this sheet metal and zap you. Oh, I see how it is. So that hooks in there. Flip it, hopefully. This one should slide in there. This thing is going to be harder to get back together than it was to take it apart. Oh yeah, I put it on backwards. Of course I wouldn't, So then it slides into this. Get this slide up. Hardest part is getting these holes to reline up again. That side's now back together. Looks like they have set screws on them. Or lock washers. Is what they're more commonly called. Maybe set this on there. Thread these ones back on. Maybe. Yeah, those aren't important anyway. Go get that in there. Put the last screw back in. And that seems to be about it. So we got a fan and a little 3 RPM motor, and she's all back together, and it looks like it was the, what you might call it, the magnetron. Not quite sure, I keep calling it gravitron, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. There'll be more siren videos to come. I just got done putting a rotator in the 1003, so you can expect that video coming fairly soon. As always, thanks for watching.